Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this edition of Prime Hour, a day after presidential elections took place across all the 10 regions of Cameroon. Tonight, we're going to be looking at inside the polls, assessing the electoral process, which started with the campaigns and culminated with the voting process that took place yesterday. We are going to be looking at this with some of the members who took part in the process and also key observers of the process. We are discussing tonight with the lone lady who is with us, Barrister Akwen, who has been following up very active on social media, updating her followers on what is happening. Good evening, Barrister Akwen. We're glad to have you.
For the past 2 weeks up to yesterday, and we saw the showers of blessings yesterday. We don't know what it came to sweep or to carry in the runoffs. We'll be getting that in the days ahead.
Okay, Professor Mark Anthony is also part of tonight's edition of the program. Good evening, Prof. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to fellow panelists. Good evening, Cameroonians, and at home and abroad. It is indeed a blessed day again, and today we are on Prime Hour after a long period of no Prime Hour. Okay, I think this particular program today is going to be more educative than just being political. We have a lot to say and share, so give us your ears.
Okay, also with us is Song Derek. Good evening. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and good evening to fellow viewers of Prime Hour. It's a pleasure to be here after experiencing a very tough moment, a very busy moment of campaign and finally elections that took place yesterday. And to the million viewers of Prime Hour, we hope that you're going to stay put. Let us share and brainstorm together to see how we take Cameroon better.
Okay, we also have Prince Kotem, who is with us tonight. Good evening, Prince Will.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to the fellow panelists on board. Good evening to Samuel Iram Iyodi. Good evening to all the patriots of the movement for patriotism and people's prosperity, the MP3 political party. Good evening to all the Cameroonians in and out of the country. Thank you for having me.
We're going to start with you, Barrister Akwen. You watched through the process of campaigns, calls for coalition which never happened, and ended yesterday with the voting. Your net assessment of the democratic practice in Cameroon so far?
Yes, Mr. Leo, we are just coming out from a very historic election that many nations in Africa and in the world were looking up to Cameroon to see if they were going to create a change this time from the polls. And it all started with the candidates presenting their manifesto, and then later on the campaigns were launched, and we saw the different actors in the field. But if we want to go by the way the campaign went, while some parties put on a lot of force that merited them what they had at the polls, some equally kept on disappearing in the scene and appearing, and the result is what will come out from the polling stations. I want to start with SDF. At one time I was complaining that they disappeared, and all of a sudden we start to see them, but very, very timidly. I don't know what happened to them. I just hope that they were doing some groundwork that is going to change what the polls will announce. And then we also, some of them, in fact, I was seeing them in camera for my very first time. If you put them again differently, I will not even remember their names nor the names of their parties. And then the polls will actually tell their performances, but we can watch that CPDM put on a lot of force. Yes, they were everywhere. At one point in time, they were like doing door-to-door campaign, because I saw my sister with their lawn, their pack. In fact, they gave a pack, which says, she told me that they actually came and met her at home and gave her the pack of Omo, the Omo that she claimed that was not foaming, and the wrapper and some other items that were inside the pack. You could see that they were actually putting a force to get anybody to vote them. Whether she voted for them or not, that one I will not know, because the ballot is secret. Then the SDF, like I said, it disappeared, and then we have the party of Mr. Issa Chiruma. What was the name of the party again? Yes, we just saw that all of a sudden, from our own local polls that we're doing, like from our TikTok pages, you discover that every direction the youth now, for the first time that I saw the youth mobilize towards a change, everybody was like Chiruma or nothing. I can really remember insults that I got from my platform. They were saying that, no, this one that you are saying, this one, we are not with you in this one, Chiruma or nothing. And I'm sure that the poll is going to reflect the results that the people were actually clamoring for. Then Madame Damjuya, I kept on in my pictures, kept on congratulating her for being the only woman amongst 12 men, but she put on the force to the extent to which she could, and that I just expect that women have rallied behind her to support their fellow woman. And don't ask me what I voted for her or not, because ballot is secret. And but some of them actually, our young man here, our panelist, is like representing his party, but I didn't see Mr. Iyodi. I didn't see him again after a while, but we kept on saying that he had a social media following, and we're calling on him to work on that and not to be taken by what the media is telling him, because media versus reality, they present two different results. But that is a young man which I actually admire, and we thought that him being the youth were actually going to side with him, but it wasn't like that. At one point he was just really missing in the process. Then when Mr. Ateki Kakson and Barrister Kere at last they finally submitted or endorsed Mr. Bello for their own candidate, which to me it was not a good move, because we're expecting that they should have done so with a vibrant person, a person who has more hopes, more prospects than Mr. Bello, whose son is already declining. And so to us, that was not a very good choice. They should have rallied behind some other person other than Mr. Bello. But that, be it is made, that was their choice. But I doubt that if that was the will of those who are following them. With that, Mr. Leo, I think that for this first segment, I have done a recap.
Okay.
Maybe for yesterday, we'll come back to that,
okay,
because
we'll
I was following it, yes.
Yes, the campaign process, quite satisfied with what Cameroonians were served with by the respective political parties.
Mr. Leo, if you remember very well, some of us, we had some time to go to the field to register, to assist in the registration of, let's say, to help Cameroonians actually participate in this election. We had to go to the field, facilitate their registration to the electoral register. And that, to me, was the path towards where we are supposed to ended yesterday. We ended up with about 8 million Cameroonians who were ready for the elections, which is groundbreaking in Cameroon. It's a history made in Cameroon, because if you go back from 1994, from 1992, beg your pardon, to 2018, you realize that Cameroonians have never gone to the polls up to 6 million. Not to talk of 6, I'm talking of 4 here, of more than 4 million. And for that fact, we thought this year it would be preferable for many people to be ready, go to the field, bring in more voters, and I think to an extent we succeeded in doing that from different viewpoints. In fact, you had youth who were participating in this process, which was so powerful. I saw young people like Lena, Fabrice, I saw young people like Kotem Prince. They were on the field doing everything possible to bring in young people and in other directions. When it came to the period of campaigns, within the, let me say, the 11 opposition parties, at a particular point, we had asked them to form a coalition. We begged in every way possible to form a coalition. And like it is, Cameroonians actually thought an individual cannot defeat the implement. And so there was need for the entire crew of opposition parties to come together so that they can do it fast. It is true that at the end of the day we didn't get what we were praying for. It led to a situation where Cameroonians were now looking for, let me say, a light in the tunnel where they could have a little bit of hope. And it all happened that somebody showed up endorsed by Union for Change, which motivated Cameroonians. It is true that a lot of Cameroonians misunderstood because they had an idea of a consensual candidate. And once that name was used, consensual candidate, a lot of Cameroonians got confused and they just believed that that was a consensual candidate and they fell behind. And as a result of that, it became a coalition of the people, or the, let me say, the electorate with Mr. Issa Chiroma. And I looked at the various campaigns from, let's begin with this SDF. I saw the SDF for the first time after 7 years, actually touching different grounds which they had abandoned for a while. They went to Bamenda, they went to the southwest. It was something different. And to an extent, might be the message was not going through, but the movements on the ground had some dimension of impact. Mm-hmm. Apart from that, you look at somebody like Cabral Libi and his party PCRN, they had an advantage. The only issue now is there were some political errors that were made also that prompted Cameroonians to look at them with a different eye, because from the very onset when the idea of a coalition was presented, it is true that if you listen to him, he actually said he is not against coalition. He didn't say he is against it. He said he's not against coalition. And for that reason, because he said it and then placed a barrier which was based on the fact that the MRC candidate and their own alliance placed a kind of demand, that created a situation where his party and his name were renegated based on the fact that the members of MRC decided to demolish him, let me put it like that. Mm. And he became a target. So he lost what he was building. Mm. A lot of people might not have noticed that, but I noticed it. And you also look at, I think that was the same thing that happened with SDF also. Mm-hmm. They became a target. Mm. Apart from that, nobody actually knew, little did we know about FSNC. Mm-hmm. Little did we know about it.
That's a surprise.
That was a surprise. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people just heard of FSNC recently. They never knew that there was a party that was existing like that. We just knew, yes, that Issa Chiroma was in alliance with the CPDM. Until of recent, the name of that party has become a household name in Cameroon recently. But that, I don't think, was also based on a strategy implemented by the candidate. It was actually a strategy implemented by the Union for Change, which attracted the attention of the people. And the manifesto that was presented by Union for Change is one of the best for a transition, because the promise was just a transition move, and not just a transition,
okay,
a unique term, which provoked a lot of people to say, okay, if you are not coming in to be a tenor, then we can give it to you. Okay.
Yes, Kotem, your assessment of the whole process as a campaign coordinator for a candidate.
Yes, Mr. Leo. Thank you, Prof, for actually acknowledging what we've been able to do. You know, when this process actually began with the registration in the electoral register, We passed over to the time where we started preparing for campaigns. That's the pre-campaign period. My candidate, Samuel Hiram Iyodi, a young man, 38 years old, with one of the best political programs, someone with a track record of political activism.
Voting has taken place already,
yes, miss. Of course, we are not going back to it, but of course, he's a candidate. I know a lot has been talks around him these days, particularly today. No, of course, no. No, of course, no. Yeah. We carry out all the civic responsibilities, and of course, we've been able to do a lot. Going down in the field with our pre-campaign and campaign period, we were able to visit the 3 northern regions of Cameroon, from Maroua to Garoua to Ngaoundiri, and coming down to we're in the central region, Bame Enugu, Bame Kim. We were in the still in the central region with Yaoundé, Fundi, Mefo Afamba. In the east region, of course, we were not able to touch some of the divisions there, but in the south region, of course, we were at we're in Lolodov, we're in Ezeka, we're in Bankomo. In Littoral, of course, we visited Mungu. We were there in Kongsamba, Baribakem. We're in Douala 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, we had our last meeting on Saturday, 11th of October 2025, the day before the poll. Now, Barrister, you've talked a lot about, you made a recap about the campaign, and you talked about my candidate, Hiram Iyodi. At a point in time, he was seen after we deposited our candidacy, where he was known over the world by many Cameroonians. Thereafter, you talked about the fact that we're not seen. No, I'm going to tell you that we have always been on the field, doing what we had to do with the resources we had. Maybe the channel which or the mode which you actually used to see him, you did not, but we were there as many Cameroonians could actually see. Somewhere Hiram Iyodi, today we had some rumors coming around him, people saying that he has been able to, that the candidacy or the party that invested in him, the CDF, in English, French, they call it FDC, of Denis Emilien at Tangana, who actually brought up a controversy this morning, saying that he, Denis Emilien, and his party, FDC, has recognized the victory of, or is looking at the victory of the incumbent. And I want to use this opportunity to send a very strong wave out there. Temperance with Sambit as the coordinator for the campaign Hiram 2025. Somewhere Hiram Iyodi, as he himself had made it public today, he has already left the party FDC, and he continues to say that he does not recognize any victory of the incumbent. Rather, we should take, he is in close observation of the different results that are coming from the different levels. For example, the communal, the council, the communal levels to the departmental levels. Of course, as of now, the different departmental organs are being compiling the result, after which they will send it to the regional level. After the regional level, they will send it to the national level for compilation before the institution that has the power will be able to pronounce it. So whatever Denis Emilien Atangana said engages just him and his party. Being very well the former president of the Movement for Patriotism and People's Prosperity, we talk about patriotism, Hiram stand firm with the Cameroonian people. And coming back to this issue of coalition, because a lot of people talked about this, that why Hiram did not have coalition or did not go rally behind a particular candidate. Maybe this should be an avenue where I'll be able to throw some light and clear the air. Of course, Hiram has always said that he has coalition in his DNA, owing to the fact that he is the one who actually led the coalition between Barrister Keremuna in 2018 and Professor Maurice Kamto, where they had a diamini coalition. He's the one who actually took to one of the sister platforms and announced it. Thereafter, he has been working with different authorities or different civil society leaders like Madame Kawala, with much respect, has worked with the Barrister Keremuna again, which will work all this time around. When we deposited our candidacy, I will tell you, on the 21st of August 2025, on that same day, we visited Minister Icha Shuruma. Of course, I was there myself, where we were able to talk to him. We thought we were going to have about 25 to 30 minutes conversation. We ended up having about 3 hours conversation in his house there in Yaoundé. And I was present. I will tell you that we talked a lot about how we could be able to join our forces together for the will of the Cameroonian people. Thereafter, we visited other political leaders, of course, Professor Maurice Kamto, who also sent out a communique, accepting to have received us, and we had a dialogue. Myself and the present executive secretary of the MP3, Mr. Tebet Bruce Stephen, we traveled from Douala to Bafoussam the day which Mr. Issa Shuruma had his meeting in Bafoussam, where we had extensive conversations with him on how we could be able to bring out, we could reunite our forces together. And I want to tell you that, unfortunately, sometimes what people and what social media reveals is not what happens in reality. We have always been there with the people. That's why Hiram says that, and he continues to say that his coalition is with the people and not with an individual. So when we went to Bafoussam to talk with him, I'll tell you, Mr. Leo, I traveled from Yaoundé to Douala. Douala the same morning, I did not rest. We traveled to Bafoussam. We met. We sent the waves to the message to the person who had the relationship between us and Mr. Issa Shuruma. And I will tell you that, sadly, after waiting for about 4 hours, about 9 p.m. in the evening, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., they told us that no, he cannot be able to receive us, and we should wait. The next day, I had an appointment in Yaoundé. Mr. Liu, I traveled from Yaoundé overnight to Douala over, during the day to Bafoussam, and you get to see somebody which guy is talking about Cameroon, the future of Cameroon tomorrow, and he tells you he's tired from a rally you see tomorrow. And I was like, is this for real? I was there, Mr. Leo. And this for real. I had to leave the same night and go to Yaoundé. Okay. And then the executive director remained there, which happened to have seen him the next day. I haven't seen him. The conditions we put down on the table that had to represent the interests of the Cameroonian people was kept aside and told us that we'll look at it later. At this point, what is important is to just push the crowd. And we did not want to push a crowd that we did not master. Because remember, people were talking about coalition. When Barrister Kerimuna and Mr. Ateki Clarkson joined Bello, they told us, no, that's what the coalition wanted. How were we supposed to be sure that the terms that we had put down were okay? Because tomorrow these same Cameroonian people will ask us questions. So at that point in time, Hiram, having been somebody consistent and coherent, decided with the team at large, we thought it necessary that instead to go into something that we don't master, it's preferable enough that we go on our own with the support that we have, knowing that we master where we are going to, and that will be the coalition of the people. We don't refuse any coalition, but we prefer that where we are going to will be carried out by the people. And if at a point in time some people deem, or the majority of the people think that maybe this is not our year, or this is not the year of Samuel Irami Yudi, despite appreciating his program and putting him at the limelight, we will still follow the coalition of the people. And it's the coalition of the people that we still keep following till date. So we understood that the Cameroonian people had what is known as, they were drunk of change, and today they are still drunk of change. But being patriots of the movement of patriotism, we tell you, the Cameroonian people, we are with you. However, we were very much skeptical about just joining the drunk of change. But we keep saying that we are with you. Okay,
you are with the Cameroonian people. Yes, some before the elections, you also took time to call for a coalition, and many persons did not heed to your advice. Were they right or wrong, going by what we have observed during the campaigns and elections?
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Like you rightly said, I think before the elections, we have been on your platform and other sister channels talking about the coalition, the reasons why our leaders had to come together to beat the incumbent. I would say it has worked positively and negatively. The failure to come together has its positive side and its negative side. Because I will tell you, after this election, it is no debate that a lot of political parties are dead and buried. We're going to hear them. There are going to be stories. Why some new faces are going to come from nowhere to replace people who have been there from time immemorial and have refused to heed to the call of the people. I'll tell you, Mr. Leo, that the failure of the leaders to unite gave the reason for the people to unite. That is why when the people went to the polls, there was nobody telling them who to vote. The people decided to vote any person of their choice, and they made a decision that was good enough for them. I would say too that a lot of political parties are going to fail big time, and will fail woefully because they refuse the call of the electorate to come together, claiming either longevity or popularity. And the claim of longevity and popularity in the field has given them, perhaps from some polling stations where we see very embarrassing numbers of votes, 00000 everywhere. And it's disgraceful because people who thought, parties that thought they were popular, they had the people. Parties that thought that they could not come together, they would beat the incumbent by themselves. They have seen for themselves that their failure to coalesce gave the people a reason more powerful to come together. And without the people moving from one place to another, messages of change were sent automatically. That is why you could go to polling stations, you see candidates, or rather electorate, voting, and sometimes they are unanimous on who to vote without anybody giving them pressure. I would say that we, at the level of the civil society, we do not in any way minimize the effort that the political actors did to come together. But we think that a failure of 8 participants to come together, and at the end we had literally nothing coming forth, or we had late minute coalition, because if you see Ateke Caxton, the ABBA coalition, Ateke Bello and Batonia Akere, it came very late, and then it came at a time you still had their ballots. If you go to some polling station, they still had some votes that were counted. So those votes were counted and spread over for nothing. Those were votes that a coalition would have given us more hope and more counting ability. But nonetheless, my point is very simple, that at the end of this election, when Elecam will finally announce the winner, whether the winner favors a particular candidate or another, most of the standing political parties will be waving goodbye, because as it stands, we know that MRC that was not taken that was not accepted to run for elections, we already know that its militants are divided. We know that the SDF that we thought longevity for 35 years, we saw the polling stations. It was really embarrassing for me to be in a polling station.
We are not talking about the scores, please. Poor. Yes, we are not talking about scores for now. Yes, we're talking about the participations from the Northwest and Southwest regions. I want you first and Prof to come in. 2018, it was practically difficult to even spot someone effectively voting. But yesterday we saw people voting in Camber, in Misaje, in Bomenda. Inside Bomenda, we saw videos of persons actively participating. In Limbe, we saw persons openly making videos and say we are voting, as well as in Kumba and Aboya, to say that things have changed compared with what we observed in 2018.
Yes, I think that this particular 2025 presidential elections is quite an election that I call the year of, or the age of the reawakening in politics, because you saw, like, not even like in Northwest Southwest, but you saw like everybody was now pro going to the polls. Everybody was like pro going to the polls. You see how people were agitating, and they were like just waiting for that Sunday to come for them to go to the polls. Then you start to discover that there is a hunger for something that Cameroonians are actually yearning to have. They want some, in fact, and they epitomize what is called change. Cameroonians seems to have been tired of a particular system and they want change. That is why you saw them. And even in the Northwest, me myself, I was like, is this actually happening in Bamenda? Is this happening? I called my brother in Santa. He says they were inside the voting polls and they were observing. He was an observer. And then I called my sisters in Bamenda. I said, no, the street is dry. But I mean, people struggle to go and vote. You saw Old Town, you saw Upstation. Then we are hearing about Batibo. We are hearing about Nkambe. And we were like, on Friday, before, just 2 days before, we had the voices actually came out with video prohibiting anybody from going to the polls. This goes to show you that people are tired. In fact, they are tired. They are tired of a situation. They are tired of a system. They are tired of being held captive. It's like people who are in captivity. It's like the Israelites who were in the land of Babylon. They were captives in Babylon, and then there is a light in the tunnel. They said, we go, we go. If we live, we live. If we die, we die. But we have to go and change something. You see, it is like those 3 leopards that were at the gate of Samaria that said, okay, if we stay here, we die. We enter the city, we die. What is the point staying here and dying of hunger? Let us better go there, we die. And you discover that these were the 3 leopards that changed the situation, and then everybody now was free. And then those who held them captive, they became the victim of circumstances. So that is actually what we saw yesterday. And you will see you were communicating with friends here, you're communicating with friends here, and they tell you, oh, I have struggled, I have voted. I have struggled, I have voted. I sneak my way in and out, I have voted. And then you discover that, like we said, it feels like the period of reawakening. And then you're asking yourself, were these people in obscurity as compared to 2018? Because 2018 we could not go out. I was in Bamenda. We could not even in fact, I locked my door the whole of that day. I was inside my parlor. 2018 presidential election, I was inside my parlor. I did not go out until the next day that I saw outside, so that somebody should not say, oh, you went and voted. Even before then, my voter's card was already cut off, so I didn't even have a voter's card. It was already cut off, and part of my ID cut off at that time, and I could not even step out. But like yesterday, Southwest, Boya, Limbe, even Indian, I had other people who were, people go back to their constituency to go and vote. They were Indian, those in Santa, they were in Santa, those in Cambe. You can actually see Mr. Ngala, my junior colleague, Ngala Gerard, whom I congratulate him for his courage. And you actually see him in the field. How did they pass to go there? So you begin to ask a question, but there's one question I'm asking. Is there a game somewhere? Yes, when it comes to this security and insecurity issues in the Northwest and in the Southwest, is there a game somewhere? How did some people pass? How is it that some people who are maybe in town, they are unable to go? They are so much, the atmosphere is so tense with fear, and they like have to sneak their way to go to the ballots. And now we are hearing that results from Bamenda, we are hearing about results from Southwest. We have been prohibited from saying, but at least we have what has been filtering in from the polls directly, and we are saying how the game is changing. But we want to say really, we appreciate our brothers and sisters in the Northwest and in the Southwest for braving the odds and going to the polls to stand for what they want and for what they believe in. That change is possible, and change is possible in the ballot box. But even then, one thing I still observe, that many people, even as much as many people have been, they no longer have confidence in the ballot box. So youths between the ages of 21 and 32, they didn't actually register. No, they didn't even register. But those who registered participated, which means that at this time, after this presidential election, we shall be talking about municipal election and parliamentary election. The youths, they have to mobilize for the change that they want. If those who did not register, I think the registers will be open again in January for the new election year, for them to go and register for the change that they want, because those candidates, those new candidates, or the municipal and the parliamentary, they will be their candidates to manage their different constituencies. So we really appreciate Northwest and Southwest for their bravery, and we think that's something positive, because you don't get up and just go to the poll because you want to go to the poll. You want to go to the poll to effect a change. Let us see the result of that change, which people brave the odds to go and effect. We are waiting for that.
Okay, we're waiting for that. Yes, I want you to comment on the participation. We saw persons voting even in Le BLM, and parts where we would never have imagined persons braving the odds to go and vote.
Yeah, Mr. Leo, it is indeed something that I want to say it is historic, because in 1992, I watched something that happened in 1992. There was this same euphoria for change that swept across the nation, and people were ready to go vote. It is true that even in that 92, with the number of voters, only about 3-point-something million went out to vote, but the euphoria was there, and we saw a lot of people participating. That was the first time we heard of multi-partyism in Cameroon, and it actually had an effect. This time around, I saw that same euphoria, but only this time, Cameroonians didn't just get excited. They decided to participate. They became players. Most of the young people whom I saw on the field, who had registered, actually, I saw them rushing to electoral. People even paid to take their voter's card. Can you imagine this? I experienced a situation where somebody had to give money to an electoral official to locate his card and give it to him. What for? Shameful. Because he thinks that he needs his card to vote. This is something that I'd never seen in Cameroon. Never. So I think this was indeed a historic era, which if Cameroonians who went out and did all this are betrayed at the end of the day, it is going to cause a lot of harm when it comes to democracy. I want to say that listening to what people said from Le BLM, Alors, Fontaine, people were voting in Fontaine when that's an enclave area where you will not even hear that people are going out, but people went out to vote. You hear of places where, in fact, it has been for a long period of time, the Northwest and Southwest, where you don't hear free movement. Then, not to talk of election, when those boys came out and said nobody, there was this circular, let me put it like that, that was going around social media, banning any form of movement and any form of, it said protect your lives.
Someone called me from Boya and said some of the guys came out yesterday in Muya and actually asked persons to go and vote.
Then that's historic. That is historic.
Me, yeah.
Which implies that even they are tired of being in the bush. This is historic. They are tired. And so I think that, Mr. Leo, if we have to look at this situation, we will feel like there's a wave, an energy, and a force that is blowing across this nation. And this particular force is the same reason why these people came out. This is the same reason why people think that, okay, for the first time, let's do something with the ballot box and see if it's going to work. You saw them flooding into polling stations. Yesterday I was somewhere and I saw at, I think, 6:30, there was still a long line. Some people were saying, no, the way they will not vote. I said, no, the law does not say that you will not vote. As long as you are already here, you are going to vote. They were like, okay, so I can still vote. I said, yes, you can still vote. So you stay there until when you vote, before you leave. That, to me, Mr. Leo, is a degree of patriotism that was expressed by Cameroonians yesterday, which to me means a lot. And it will become damaging if this patriotism demonstrated by young Cameroonians is betrayed. When I say betrayed, when their voices are not expressed, are not validated, it will become dangerous. It will become dangerous for the democracy of this country. And I want to look at the situation that happened around Boya, where I was called, and I told the person, please, since you are already out, the only thing is, because they told me that they came and asked them to leave the ballot, the polling center where they were. I said, no, since you're already there, stay there. You want to count your vote. It is a right to count your vote. So stay there. They said, no. They even said there is a Jew came and said, no, even the Jew does not have the audacity to tell you to leave because that's against the law. So, and I was happy that they stayed. They stayed. And that is it, Mr. Leo, that a lot of young people briefed it yesterday in these 2 English-speaking regions. You remember in 2018, Mr. Leo, we just had ghost results. We never knew who came out to vote that particular year in those 2 regions, but we had results because people were in their houses and refused moving. But this time around, there were pictures, there were videos of people on the streets, of people in different polling centers. And there's a polling center in I think Bakri town.
It was full.
It was crowded. I was shocked. It was crowded.
We saw videos that were made at 9 o'clock around Bonduma, where almost everybody was still there beside the road, saying that they want to
count their votes. It was indeed something that I think is very historic, as I said.
Good evening to you all. Accept my sincere gratitude for all your endeavors. Just wish to find out the situation of regional elections as of now. Thanks. Bro Henry is writing from Bomenda. Good evening, Prime. We did it in Boya. We beat fear. I'm Dennis, writing from Boya. Good evening to you, people in the studio. I'm Jay, writing from Boya. This one says, I voted, but I know they won't count mine. VA already has its winner. All members of Elecam were appointed by the government, and I believe 70% is CPDM. So we don't expect any change. This is all a game, but we thank the head of state. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panel members. This time around, as compared to 2018 presidential elections, the youths in particular were out in their numbers like never before and did not only vote but stayed there to protect their votes and make sure there some level of transparency. This action was provoked by the promises of some candidates like putting an end to the Anglophone crisis, which has been a thorn in the flesh of the problem. Most of the youth didn't even stop at voting, but I see some doing fundraising to support their candidates. This is to let us know that people are eager for change, and the activities is evident. It's indeed historic. For the first time, I see the youth, especially in war zones, fighting to perform their civic duty. Thanks. I'm Godilan D, writing from Betua. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Berlin Atam, watching all the way from Limbe Alpha Club. Thank God for you, Mr. Liu, and your panelists. The massive turnout of the voters was as a result of your education, Mr. Liu. But unfortunately, some of us from Ground Zero did not have the opportunity to vote once more. Mr. Liu, more grace. I'm Nanje Gilbert from Likoko native area in Munyenge. Okay, Likoko is after Munyenge, I'm sure. Yes, going towards Abomoko. Yes. Now, this is a wave that has been initiated in the young people, like you read them saying. Most of them were eager. How do we sustain this?
Yes, of course, Mr. Liu. Thank you again. Actually. It's very pleasant to hear the comment from the civil society actors. We are all of us, we are happy with the turnout. At least it's not like the 2018 elections where they were, the turnout was not the best, but this time around, at least we've seen the young people turning out. But however, the appreciation that has been thrown on the Northwest and Southwest, it's true, we saw some people coming out, unlike before, but we want to keep, as a political actor, pressing for the fact that when we talk about Southwest and people, and we're making mention of Boya, making mention of Munya, making mention of Tiko, making mention of Limbe, and so I still want to say Southwest has, I think, 6 divisions. These 6 divisions doesn't limit itself to small villages and towns or cosmopolitan towns, no. I want to hear somebody talk about Ekata, Bafia,
You just talk about Munyenge, talk about Eyumojok, talk about, you know, today. Yeah, they voted for Mujicho, but under what condition? People voted in Gokutunja, people voted in Misaje, people voted in Alo. But under what condition? You saw most of the people who voted are people who were assisted by the ruling party. We talk about security issues, barrister. Security, we've seen people of the ruling party are being escorted with armored vehicles and others. So what of us who are not the ruling party? What do we have? That is the question. I had polling agents that were at the level of were deep there in Baba. How could they get those other ones were in Bafanji? Those ones who were in they were down there in Balikumba. How many of them could break those odds? I have my polling agent in Balikumba who could not breach the odds to go out. But you had a ruling party barons who came with armored vehicles, just like everywhere in the northwest and southwest is the case. Unfortunately, it's the situation. How long? Because we would have expected to see at least, we won't talk about the election, be happy that everybody, if not the entire northwest and southwest. What I'm saying
there is a situation of crisis. There is a situation of crisis. Are you saying that they should have halted the process?
No, Mr. Leo, what I'm saying is that this crisis is useless. And at this point, what we want is that this crisis to come to an end. Whatever person is taking over power, if it's Irami Yodi, if it's Shiruma, if it's, because we don't wish for the present regime to retain power, but we want to find lasting solutions to this problem so that we can be able, not to say people voted in Boya, but we can be comfortably, we can say people voted from all corners of the southwest, all corners of the northwest, and not just from particular villages and towns. And people who were able to sneak their ways into it. How do you sneak your way into your own region and vote? And we are happy to say some of these. Of course, these are extreme cases that we are looking at, but we want to promote more of this. Talking about sustainability of young people to continue having that the zeal and the will to exercise their civic rights. I want to talk to young people. Myself and Iram Iyoji and other Cameroonians accompany you during the registration process. We accompanied you during the retrieving of your voter's card. We will continue to accompany you, but know one thing that is important. Today we are complaining. It is because we have this regime that has been 43 years, that has caused the crisis in the northwest and south for the last 9 years. We have an electoral code that, I don't know how to describe it, but one of the most fake electoral codes that we have that does not represent any interest of the Cameroonian people. However, how do we move away from that? I think, like many other Cameroonians think, like the patriot of the movement for patriotism and people's prosperity, the MP3 party thinks, we have to take the seat in the legislative and municipal upcoming elections in 2026. Because it's only when we go to the parliament that we can be able to fight for the change of the electoral code. Because if we are not majority, if the ruling party, which we don't wish for them to continue, but what if they are continuing and they're the ones with the majority, or best majority that they have? How do we will keep crying like what they call in French, le plein embole? We don't need to be that. We also have the councils. So be ready as young people. You as of 23 years old, you are able, you can become a mayor, you can become a parliamentarian. Just be ready. As we're entering 2025, we'll continue to encourage you, but also remember that you have to go and get yourself registered. As from January 2026, the electoral register will be open again. We want to see you getting registered massively, because what you have started is just the wind of change that has started blowing. As of this stage, we hope that while awaiting the results, we hope that nothing is being tampered with the results, because Hiram Iyoji and the MP3 party stands in the line with the Cameroonian people, nothing to be tampered with their votes. After which we are expecting that the institutions that be Elecam, after the national counting, we hope that the Constitutional Council itself will be able to respect the will of the sovereign people.
Okay.
However, it remains in the hands of the Cameroonian people, particularly you, the youth, to be able to know how to protect your vote, to know how to stand by your vote, and to know how to stand by your result, and know that somewhere Iram Iyodi is with you.
Yeah, but they stood by their votes yesterday during the counting process. I'm sure that was the level of defending those votes. Yes, but many persons also think that opposition party members are discouraging some of these guys who have caught the fever, because when you consistently say Elekam is fake, nothing good can come from it, and the rest. How do you expect people to go and register when you already are telling them that this is fake? How differently can this fire be sustained to get many more young people who have seen their brothers and sisters watching the counting process and actually living the proclamation exercise?
Thank you. Mr. Leo will say there's only one word I will use: continuity. Politics is a continuous process. You know, gone are the days when people were paid to defend votes. Yesterday, what I witnessed in many polling stations, I witnessed youth who voted, stayed in the polling station. Myself, I left there at 11 in the night because we expected that the votes should be counted, the PVs should be filled and sealed. And the votes that were filled there reflected the ones on the board, and we had to film them. But if politicians only make use of these people during elections, then they have become tools rather than becoming assets for the development of the nation. That is why I'm talking about continuity. Elections and politics is not a 7-year periodic thing. It's something that should continue. Meaning that if the youths are already engaged, remember, the voting that took place in Cameroon, I read somewhere, someone said, I will be voting for my first time and let my first vote be my best. And I want to say, for the experiences we have had in Cameroon, this 2025 election has been one of the best elections we have ever had, because the fever, the anxiety, the enthusiasm, the excitement was there, and Cameroonians in their numbers went to the polling station. They were not as busy as we used to think, where somebody just feel like, I'm going to cast my vote, will buy some drinks, put in the fridge, go cast my vote, come back, sit home and be watching on TV what is happening. Everybody experienced the voting on the spot, counted. You know, at 7 o'clock, the counting of the vote was done, and there was no space for people to be. Everybody was present, and everybody was making sure that their candidates they voted, the votes were counted, and they kept evidence that who they voted for, it was counted. And we are saying and still begging, we have seen that in social media where a lot of malpractices, a lot of fraud, a lot of activities took place. We've seen where dignitaries talk to election officials not to count the right things. We've seen ballot stuffing. We have seen votes counting coming from places that there are no evidence that voting took place. We've seen evidence of videos showing how people are putting particular ballot papers. And one of the sad reality is that most of those things we see are associated to a particular political party. And we are calling on restraint. Cameroonians are not fooled in the 21st century. We have outgrown the epoch of reasoning backward. We have gone to the technology age. We are now even at the level of the artificial intelligence age. And Cameroonians are not that dull. So we are begging on the powers that be. Cameroonians have fulfilled their civic duties. They have casted their votes to their candidates that they choose independently. And we are begging on those people that are concerned that they should take those votes and proclaim them the way they are. No fever, no malaria, no temperature should affect those votes. Okay. Because if they proclaim the wrong choice for Cameroonians, it is like insulting the people who went out to make a choice. Okay. And then those who count, it's like those who voted don't matter, it is those who count that matter. And you give us a wrong choice, the wrong choice will not meet us well, because Cameroonians have suffered, suffocated for long, and it will not be business as usual.
Yes, what actually made the difference from previous elections by your reading? You went out there, you saw you discuss with some of the persons, some of your neighbors. What made the difference? Is it the fact that many persons say we have done a lot of education on media, but can we also say social media played a very big part in what we obtained yesterday?
Exactly, Mr. Liu. Social media is playing a lot in changing the political dynamics, not only in Cameroon, but in Africa and in the rest of the world. And because if you compare 2025 to 1990, in 1992 presidential elections, for instance, we were only hearing. There was no way for us to see. We were only saying how campaigns were going on, one group to another, the CPVM, that time was CPDM, UNDP, SDF, and UDC, UNP, and the other party of this our papa who died in Kongsamba, Samuel Ebwa. You see, we were seeing them, but now there was no statistics, or it was not visual. Now you can stand and snap a crowd, and you set it on social media, and within the next 5 minutes, it would have gone round even the whole world. So social media is playing a very vital, important, and pivotal means and methods for the change in the political dynamics, like we are seeing. It is social media that is creating the wave. And the fact that we can actually see like this in those days, how many media houses did we have? There was no My Media Prime, there was no Equinox, there was no Dash TV, there was no STV. But today we have media houses all over the territory, all over the nation, and each of them are putting their own political, they have their political program where Cameroonians can actually come out and speak sensitized. Whereas in those days you had only CRO TV. Now you have TikTok. How many mediums do we have? We have WhatsApp, we have TikTok, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have, and all these are mediums that we use to circulate or disseminate information. So we are living in an age where it is very delicate, and people should be very careful with the kind of, particularly in these elections, they should be very careful, because the results that they will proclaim, it is already in our phone in the raw copy. I call it a raw copy because that was what you saw on the board. The board carries the raw copy. How will we see a raw copy and then you come and tell us that it is a different copy? The statistics of Elecam is inside Elecam's website. How will you tell us that 8,000 people registered, and amongst them some of them have died, so they should not tell us that they were alive. We have people who double register, for instance, and I was asking, for instance, if we go, when somebody relocates and have to register again, does the system automatically delete their name, or it remains in the system? So those are some of the questions and some of the gimmicks that we have to take into consideration, and that social media projects it, because when you go to Google, it will tell you how many Cameroonians voted. Statistics from Northwest, how many voted in the Northwest, how many voted in the Southwest, and in the rest, how many voted, how many registered in Santana, how many voted, how many registered in Batibo, for instance, how many registered in Dian, how many registered in Ledi Alem, how many registered in Messager, and how many, and then how many people are we seeing in the final results? That is where I'm saying that if there is going to be a crash, then that is why I'm saying that there will be a crash. The work of social media. So they cannot tell us that social media lies, because no, when you take the raw results and it is coming like that, and you can actually see the visual ones, the still pictures, the emotional pictures, people were snapping, they counting until they said 100, okay, and then they went and wrote it on the board. How do you take away that particular image from the eyes of the people or inside people's phones? When you people take it, they send it immediately, they post it either in their own social media handle, either on Facebook or on YouTube and so on, and the information stays there. How will you tell them at the close of the day that how will you tend to blame
that the authentic was not authentic?
That the authentic, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
So you see that with this social media age, anybody who is counting the vote, who counted the vote, who registered the vote, who signed the bulletin, should be very careful, and the people that are going to present the result to
more careful, yes,
to the Constitutional Council should be more careful, because the world is watching. It is not funny. Even our president's daughter said, "Mon père est le plus vieux." I have it inside the book. Le plus vieux président du monde.
No, we are not here to talk about that.
What I'm trying to say is that Africa, the world is watching to see whether Cameroonians will go and vote le plus vieux président.
No. Campaigns are finished. Campaigns are finished. Campaigns are finished, Barrister. Campaigns are finished. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Congratulations to you and your panelists. Thanks so much for the educative program. I voted yesterday for my very first time. It's because of your education, but I'm still scared of what the capable bodies will put on our table. Please help me insist, or rather call on the civil society to help us put an open eye for us. Please let my voting for the first time not go in vain. Thank you. Please, okay, help read my message. I'm Tashi, writing from Bafusam. You want to add something?
Yes, Mr. Leo, thank you. You know, this issue of social media and the media as a whole, you know, you have the traditional media, you have the social media, and the role which they have been able to play October 12 polls in Cameroon, it's one to be applauded. However, they've been able to reduce the gap that existed between the polling station and the people. Today is very, we are happy, Cameroonian people are happy that we are able to transmit the result from one place to another and all the like. And so we've been talking about the social media, artificial intelligence and all the like, the benefits. However, talking about benefits, conscious and being objective, we should also be capable of looking at it's also the other negative part of it. Because being Republican citizens, being people who really want the true change and change from the people, we should not also let ourselves to be manipulated, because the advent of social media has its benefits, like I said before, and its negative aspect. Today, we are able, it's possible for someone to take a picture of 3 people and make it to become a crowd of 100 people or 300 people. It's possible for someone to be able to take a result that was being pasted on a board and change it through a machine, through some ways to make it to be like it was on the board and send it on social media. However, I'm not saying that results that people got from the board and the different sheets, report sheets, those are manipulated. But I'm saying that we should be capable of making this distinction between the two, because if the Cameroonian people, or when the Cameroonian people, they are not foolish, they know where they voted and how they counted their vote and the results that came out. So at a point in time where the Cameroonian people are revendicating, if something should happen with their vote, they should be revendicating with the right sources and the right objective. Because I want to be very objective, Mr. Leo. In 2018, we saw some political actors who gave informations, and later on, their collaborators that were with us came up after some months to give us a counter a result of what they gave us at that period. So, in as much as we want change, that is what I said before, that I understand as a political actor that Cameroonians are drunk of the word change. And the word, Mr. Leo, last time I was not able to illustrate it well because on a French panel, this time the panel permit me. The word drunk has 2 connotations. You can be drunk in the sense that, you can be drunk and you become subconscious, and you can be drunk and remain conscious. Now, what is the difference? Remaining drunk and remaining subconscious means that you are carried away by the events and the change you want, and you don't look at the negative and the positive side of it. While drunk and remaining conscious means that you want change and you want to use it the right way. Wherefore, when you acquire your change, you'll be able to analyze the effects that will come out from it and project to what will happen in the future. Because today, we don't just want to change an individual, like some people say. That is why Hiram Iyodi took time to talk on the coalition issue. We don't just want to change a person. Well, maybe tomorrow we might take another 10 years to come and start back at this same spot. That is why during the campaign, sorry, we are no longer on campaign, but I said, and most people said, Add 7 years to your age while you're at the polling station. Add 7 years to your age before making your decision. So too, when we are making a decision of what to do at this point in time, making a decision of change, we should be capable of understanding and remain what they call lucid of the type of change we want, and not just changing people, but changing the system, completely changing the system, that we will be able to have a new Cameroon to build and move forward, and not come back to start again after 10 years where somebody will tell us that no, our transition period is not enough, our transition period is not this. So as you have started the struggle today, Cameroonian people, you should continue with the struggle, watch your struggle, remain drunk lucidly, and continue with your struggle till the end, where we'll be able to liberate the Cameroonian people.
Okay. I don't know what struggle you're talking about, Mr. Akotem, but Cameroonians have voted, especially young persons, and they would want to sustain. We want to see this fever sustained, especially when we take to the polls again next year for the municipal and parliamentary elections. But my question to you now is, can we, since we are taking stock of what happened, can we also say that by the time final results are published by the Constitutional Council, which is a competent body to render the official results are public to Cameroonians and the world, can we also say that at this point we should be seeing the voters sanctioning some of the political parties and leaders for not listening to them? Because someone is writing from Bengui, and it tells me that, Mr. Kum, we received 3 political parties in Bengui, but shockingly, the lone party which did not come here is leading at all the levels.
Okay, Mr. Leo, it is very important for us to note this. Like we said earlier, the main reason why a particular candidate became the fever attracting candidate actually did not come based on his visits to different towns. No, it came from the fear of the people. They were kind of, how do we move on with this particular system? How do we overcome the system? So that fear motivated it. And because of that, there is this proverb in Africa that says, when you are being drowned by water, if you see a snake, that snake can become the only source of your sustenance. That's the only thing that can save you. So you can trap the snake and get freed. But look, these people have been in a desperate situation. That's what a lot of politicians are not taking to play. And that's why when they openly said, we want you people to form an alliance, the moment the political parties who visited those areas refused to come into that alliance, already they were sanctioned in the hearts of the people. And some openly said it. Because they thought that one of these individuals from the 11 opposition actually has come into an alliance and is the consensual candidate, as it was pronounced by Union for Change. The people decided to fall behind this individual whom they thought listened to them. And so they saw him as a Moses who was coming to give them deliverance, to save them from a particular situation. Because he presented the fact that he has been in the system, he knows it and he knows how to beat it. He presented to them that, okay, I'm not even coming because I want to come and take over and place my tentacles of power and remain. No. My intention is to reform, then allow you, do an election and allow you people to now continue with the building of the nation. That is what a lot of Cameroonians were looking for. Cameroonians want, they know very well that if you give this nation to somebody, give him 10 years, he will not believe. He will not do any transformation, because the system in place needs to be uprooted. Then a new one instituted, before work can begin. And to take time to say, okay, I have this wonderful program, I'm going to execute it, you will not execute it with the same system. So it needs to take time. I will tell you this, the system is in people
already. Yeah.
So to remove it from the people,
abstract.
It's an education.
Extract
voila.
And
it is a process. So the people understand that. So when people came with, wow, I have this project, the Cameroonians are no more fools. They are looking at you and smiling and say, oh, so you think that I don't know what you want to do. You want to come and also remain there eternally. So, but the promise of a transition and a reformation, and then, wow, it attracted a lot of people. And for that reason, people said, okay, anyway, we already had a choice in our heart that we want to vote. We want this regime to leave power. So we are coming for you. And if you look at it, a political alliance for the first time in Cameroon, no, I think this is the second time in Cameroon, was created between the candidate and the electorate. And the electorate went out. If you went through different polling stations, Mr. Leo, you would have been shocked in the city of Douala. In the whole of Fako, I folded my arms and I said, this is something that has not happened. Winning in Boya, winning CPDM in Boya. No.
No, nobody, I'm
talking from the pools, from what came in from the pools.
No, please.
It's not a win. No, it's not a win.
No, please.
It's not a win per se.
Don't be selfish. There was a
what happens at the polls.
Yes, at the polls.
Yes, I'm talking about polls,
please. Those results were announced at the
yes. Mr. Leo, that is what I'm referring to. What happened in the polls yesterday is what is pulling me to talk now. I'm saying that what I saw there in those polls make me to believe that the people are angry. And indeed, they decided to make their voice heard, and they exercised their authority.
Yeah, we are taking stock. We are taking stock of what happened. When you observe, like he says,
it's okay. It's okay.
The National Communication Council has said that.
No, it's okay.
We are supposed to
I understand you.
Yes, please. Let's respect it. But I'm talking about somebody saying that people came to us in Bengui. And certainly they did not come empty-handed. It means that they came with bread, some came with sugar, some came with beer, and all of that. Now, if people now say they received 3 parties and decided to vote for one, and I have good information where somebody says we gave these guys something, expecting that they vote for us, looks like, can we say that the voters are becoming intelligent? I don't know, more intelligent.
Yes.
Mr. Leo.
Yeah, because
the question is a very pertinent.
We saw massive crowds going for rallies.
Yes, no, it's important.
The outcome was something.
No, it's important, but I think we are more enlightened. Cameroonians are more enlightened that they can take bread and sardine and eat and vote their minds. They can take granite oil, savon and vote their minds, and vote who they want. There is something that we should make clear. Voting for a particular candidate, especially the popularity of FNSC, did not express in any form love for that particular candidate. It's not an expression of love. It is an expression of the fact that there is frustration. Cameroonians are frustrated, and anything that looks like different looks better than what they know already. That is why Cameroonians are hanging on to that. And to tell you that a particular candidate did not go to a particular environment, the people mobilized themselves, campaigned for that candidate, and voted that candidate, means that Cameroonians are thirsty and hungry for change, and that change will not come from a person. That change will come from them. That change starts from individual. One of the highest shocks, you say we are not talking about results, we will not talk about results, but one of the highest shock that has happened to Cameroon and even to the present regime is the fact that at one point in time, why the people refused to come together, a coalition unannounced happened between the people. And that coalition has become so strong that Cameroonians, without bread, without sardine, without 5K, voted, staffed themselves, and stayed in the polls, counted the vote, defended the vote, and sealed their votes. It comes to tell you that that time is coming. The paradigm is changing. In fact, Mr. Leo, in the next election, there is no news that people will register more, because yesterday it's as if those who did not vote were sick. It's as if you do not vote, there is part of you that was missing, because the ambience, the euphoria, the fanfare, and the excitement in the faces of people showed that there was a reason to vote, and there was a reason to defend that vote. Therefore, it is time for us to understand that during campaigns, because I'll tell you, Mr. Leo, this is not very few political parties campaigned and presented a manifesto. What we are voting for, what Cameroonians are voting for now, is not a manifesto. Cameroonians are voting for change. What they want is change. After change, they will look for that situation where, because after the incumbent president in Cameroon, no other president will ever have that power that an individual has: legislative, executive, judicial, and military power. No other president will ever have that kind of power. He has done in the minds of Cameroonians that it is not who comes to you that has a solution at this time. It is who the people decide. And the person, majority of the candidates, especially the person I know that was popular in the police station where I voted, most people don't know him. Most people have never spoken with any of a militant from his political party. So it shows Cameroonians have come to that point in time where they look around, they judge from their mindset, and they tell you that this is where the vote is going to, without pressure, without bread, without sardine, without 5K. Cameroonians can vote for free to choose a candidate that they have decided to say, this is the devil we choose.
Okay.
Like that. You know, that is also, you know, I really accept with you, my brother. You know, it's almost the same thing. It's true. As Cameroonians, we are one people, and sometimes we are called upon. Sometimes we even keep our political our political caps aside and remain the Cameroon that we are, because our country, you know. I heard so many people also say, like what you're saying, you know, let's use the devil to catch the devil. Thereafter we'll continue, you know. Some people told me, you know, your candidate, Hiram Iyoji, is a young man, has a fine program. We want to use his political party, the MP3, to run for municipal and legislative elections. You know, his ideology is what will build Cameroon tomorrow, the Afro-social liberalism and all. But for now, you know, he's the best. But for now, you know, let's go with this man. He's the one who knows the regime. We want to work with him. Well, what man they were talking about is the Cameroon, like you said, Hiram also did a coalition with the people. Only for the fact that his coalition did not want something that will be tantamount to the future. Because like he always says, this is our generation. People are fighting a generational fight. And they should not be able to mortgage our generation with their generational fight. It's a fight for the Cameroonian people. However, we should be careful of what moves us forward. Because Cameroon does not end with 2025. Like you actually agree with me. Cameroon does not end with 2025 presidential election. Cameroon goes beyond 2025 election. However, we should be careful of where we put our foot. We should be careful of the accord, because a lot of people did accords. Because when you see the different coalitions that were being made, you ask yourself, what was the reason for this coalition? What was the reason for this coalition? At the point in time, like I told you guys, we got to Bafoussam. We put some of the ingredients and some conditions which we think. One of them is corruption, fight against corruption. The next one is the form of the state, which we did put in our own condition to be able to do coalition. And some of those facts were being thrown aside. And we question a lot of it. How will you throw a fact as important as that of how to fight corruption? And we're skeptical about what we're going to. And with all this juxtaposition, we had to come in the fact that we are of the generation of today and tomorrow. And we don't want to stay with the fact that you are the tomorrow. No, we are today and tomorrow. So, if we are today and tomorrow, we need to start by looking at our steps from today to be able to guarantee our future. And so, guaranteeing our future means that whatever acts or agreements we are entering into in order to make it a coalition should be something which will be able to answer to the Cameroonian people tomorrow. So, my brother, I really accept with you the fact that some Cameroonians did vote not because they wanted to vote a particular political party. They voted for change, and that is why I continue to say, like my president Hiram continue to say, you have voted for change. Let's be able to guard the change, and let's follow the change to the end, so that our future will be able to have it for shared prosperity of the Cameroonian people.
When you talk and you say you're president, are you not also doing exactly what the CPDM guys are doing? Because whatever they say like the president, our president, the head of state has said.
Mr. Leo, we of the movement of patriotism and people's prosperity, I say it again, patriotism are like every other institution, like every other organization, like every other political party has a leader, and they are being run by the leader who heads it. So ever we talk
he
on
thinks, he thinks for you people.
He doesn't think for us. That's why at the MP3 we talk about the executive secretary, because it's a secretariat that we have deliberations, and then it's being carried out by the executive secretary.
Councillor Richard is watching us from Limbe. I'll take 3 or 4 messages. So hundreds of messages have come in. I'll read some of them. Greetings, Mr. Liu. Some came with sardine on 1 for 1. I collected the money and sardine put. I still went ahead and voted for. I will not call the name for the person you voted for.
That is his message.
Yes, you went and voted for your candidate. May you look for watch hand big man writing from Kumba. Okay. Good evening to you guys. I'm Mr. Simon from Tole. Mr. Liu, Prof is very right. Even in our Jangi meeting, President don't want to step down. Okay. Good evening, Prime. I have taken time to study electoral process in Africa, but Cameroon has the longest time to read the results. Why so? How can match be played? The board is showing scores, but after match, FIFA must be the one to give scores. If Elekam is not capable of giving out the results, then let the Constitutional Council organize elections. It's so funny. That is why they are inviting most of us to get involved into political issues, take up positions at the National Assembly, so that some of these laws could be changed. It may just start with you. Get involved so that you can help change this. Good evening, Mr. Kum and the panel. Is quite a good initiative to take stock of the 2025 presidential elections. What we must note here is that whether or not the elections deliver immediate change, they have amplified calls for democratic reform. It has exposed the limits of opposition unity, reignited debates on succession and governance. Cameroon's future would depend not only on who holds office, but on how power is exercised, how institutions are rebuilt, and how citizens reclaim their voice. Cameroon must be great again. God bless Cameroon. Cliff Awa is watching us from Buya. But can we say that the more and more Cameroonians are getting to understand the power of the vote, that they can decide who becomes the president of the republic, who becomes their mayor, who becomes their member of parliament, who becomes their senator, that it is only by registering, actively participating, and observing, that is safeguarding your vote at the polling stations, that permits almost everybody to decide who becomes the mayor of, say, Douala 5 in Bonamusadi.
If the ballot cannot change things, the only solution is for a coup d'etat, which means that the regime must do everything possible to democratize the elections process from the era of voting or for registration. You must put your registration polls accessible to your citizens. You don't take one Elekam office for this. For Bonamusadi, for instance, Douala 5. Douala 5 needs to have at least 5 Elekam offices if they actually want the citizens to vote. You cannot take one and come and place here and then expect people who are in Lok Besu or I don't know, some other neighborhoods like that. It is quite disadvantageous. It is you see for people who have not believed in the ballot box. You must take it closer to the people. The next move is to sensitize the people and tell them the need and the advantages and guarantee that their votes the process will be very transparent, and their votes will be taken into consideration the way they have put it in the box, and that their candidates will be projected the way they decided it, not the way you want. That is why somebody is crying that in Africa this is what happens, but in Cameroon you take long. Because from yesterday we're supposed to have known what happened in the northwest. We're supposed to have known what happened in the southwest. The results ought to have been known today after counting it manually. You put it in the machine. That is why these gadgets are there. You put it in the machine, it runs down the results, automates and produces the results, and you tell the people so that if there is anything that needs to be adjusted, it has to be adjusted. Why would they even adjust if that is the result? If that is the result, if it's the result. But you see, for now, the mobilization of Cameroonians, like we said, the voice of the people are the voice the voice of God. The people have spoken. It means at this time it's like God is speaking, reacting.
Miraculous God.
So it is going to be. This is the most fearful elections that I have witnessed for how many years. I started voting in 1996 after the 1997 presidential election. That was I have been voting, but for 2018 that I didn't vote, I have been voting. But you see this one, and you see, before I went to the poll, I thought that maybe I was the earliest. When the people were there gathering, looking at their names, since my name starts with A, so I had no problem. And then they just showed me when I went and voted. By evening, before it was 6 p.m., I saw a crowd pulling. I was like, where are these people coming from? I almost frightened. But then I had some other person call the friend, hey, it is time now, we have to go back to the polls, which was not like that. You can remember one time I said at this platform, I said, Cameroonians, when you go and cast your vote in the morning, make sure you go back in the evening to witness the counting of your votes. Don't go and start to drink beer, because Cameroonians, we are just like, we have been cursed to drink beer. But you see, everybody was like moving, and it was such a mammoth crowd that you actually have to like beckon on somebody to shift so that you can pass. I mean, when you went inside our polling station, you didn't even have a space to stand. We stood there until I said that the crowd was just too much, and I had to actually leave and go outside to the road. And there was another population. Security was there keeping guard so that nobody. But you see, after they counted the vote, you can hear a jubilation. Heavy. Why was this jubilation? And then he said, when have we ever heard people shouting, jubilating, making calls, snapping? Why is this happening now? One thing, the motto for this year is the change. We want. Things must change. And I think that this year should have been the year that everybody on the board should actually sit and do a recapitulation, the stakeholders, a recapitulation of how people like you or how they want you. If I want to stay, do they really want me? Do they love me? Because if you manipulate your way to stay, you actually sit back in your quiet and tell yourself that I did it. What did you do? That you manipulated your way, you fortified the votes, you stuck in some ballots and presented it. Can you actually sit and tell yourself? Because I tell people that at times, what is you is you. It is you telling yourself that if you don't tell yourself the truth, then you are living a fake life. And is that what you want for yourself? That you live fake? That the results you know that you are projecting, they are not the will of the people. And so when the people get angry, because what I am afraid of, the trouble in Noso, we didn't have the population. The population there in the north.
We pray nothing.
Yes,
nothing.
We pray.
Yeah, we pray nothing bad happens.
We really pray.
Yeah.
To the results.
Yeah, we pray nothing bad happens, and yes.
We don't want Noso recurrence.
Please,
Yes.
in the name of Jesus.
Amen. Yes, Mr.
Mr. Leo has become a good pastor.
So many persons have died. But the properties.
We don't want more deaths.
Yes. Now
We want truth.
we have 8 minutes to go. Yes.
We have to go up, yeah.
Yes.
We have And other programs are
In
supposed
minutes,
to.
yes.
Other programs are supposed. Yes. Now, what is the message you want to leave with those who voted and are very, very expectant, especially to the first timers? Many persons have written that they vote for the first time and they hope that their vote counts. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Cameroonians, we have expressed our intention. We have spoken. It is left now for those in charge to respect our decision. So I'm going to ask you to be calm and wait till the day the election will be read. The decision of the Constitutional Council will determine how we will react. That's a choice. It is the duty of the people who have been given the responsibility to declare what we as a people went out there yesterday and expressed, to do their job. And if they fail to do their job, it means they consider us to be stupid. It means they consider us to be nothing. It means they look down on us. And in reality, the power, sovereign power, does not come from them. It comes from us. And if we are the people with the sovereign power, then they should show us the respect that is needed. If they don't, then they are inviting something which they should not be inviting. We pray for just the best. And we are asking that the Constitutional Council and those working in Eleka they should do what is needful. Express the intention of the people. Make the people happy because they have spoken openly and clearly. None of us are fools anymore. We have different polls results. We are going to be working with our parties to know the results that came in while waiting for what you will be presenting to us. But we know the results. Don't make that mistake. We know the results. So use the results and give us the results.
Are you now dictating to Eleka?
We are telling Eleka to do what we told them to do for us. They are there because we want them to work for our.
Why are you suspecting them?
No, they have been doing it in the past, so we have to suspect them.
I have something here very interesting. Say, as it stands now, there is no court in Cameroon that has jurisdiction to entertain elections petition. The only court that elections irregularity can be exposed is the court of the people.
The people.
That's a dangerous, very dangerous statement. The court of the people.
Barrister.
Every law that
Barrister, the electoral code says that if you have issues, you have 72 hours, please.
What is this saying? It is simply saying that the people have lost confidence in the elections process.
Barrister.
I'm not the one who wrote it.
Yeah, but that is just the mind of somebody. Okay. Is it God who wrote that?
Not at all. I'm not the one who wrote it. I'm reading it.
It's somebody who just wrote that. But there are dispositions in the electoral code that says that if you think that you want partial or complete annulment of what is happening, please get to the Constitutional Council, and they are going to attend to you. Yes,
of course. We lawyers will always want to go to the Constitutional Council. That is the place that we know. So but this one is not coming. The person is even asking but lawyers that we believe again in the process. Yes, and that will be their own court.
Where do you defend people? You defend people
in court. But they are telling us that they say the court will be the court of the people. So it means they will not even consult me to go and defend the one I need money.
The law of the people.
Yes.
So thank you, Mr. Leo. Dear Cameroonians, dear patriots, the day came, the judgment day came. As we are waiting the results of the judgment day, remain steadfast. Remain with your heads up. For 2025 is not the end of Cameroon, but it's the start of a new era. The era that we choose, the era which we went to the ballot boxes yesterday, we went to the polling stations and we decided. As of now, being the coordinator and representing my candidate here, we want to call on you all to remain calm. Remain calm, but not because you are fools, but because you know who and for what reason you voted. And you know that, and we also know that, as well as you know, that you are the true judge, and as the people are the sovereign people, the ones who hold the sovereign power. The time will come, as per the institutions. Of course, we had a social contract with the institutions, and a contract has to do with offer and acceptance. And a contract is a mutual agreement between two or more people. At this time, we have a contract, and a contract also has a starting point and an ending point. All this put together, dear Cameroonians, once more, your servant Samuel Hiram Iyodi is with you. You have the power. Take the lead, and whatever outcome, we will always be with you. For 2025, I will say again, is a decisive year. Not the end of Cameroon, but the start of a new point. And do not forget, of course, as we move forward, there is a municipal and legislative elections coming up. It is through the municipal and legislative elections that we can be able to, if not kill, but reduce the best majority of the ruling party in the parliament, as well as taking up councils, because we can only bring true change at our different communities, municipalities, and divisional levels through the councils, and also having positions at the legislative levels. So instead to remain behind and continue lamenting and continue throwing blames, please, as you have reawakened, as the sense of civic engagement has been reawakened in the Cameroonian people, we believe that this sense of reawakeness will not just end with October 12th, but will go beyond October 12th. We wish every Cameroonian, and wish every Cameroonian again, and wish every patriot within and out of the country a year full of prosperity from October 12th onward. It's a message for Samuel Hiram Iyodi and Mr. Tabet Bruce Stephen of the Movement for Patriotism and People's Prosperity political party.
Okay, we have section 132 of the Electoral Code talking about electoral disputes and petitions. Just to educate those who are watching, that the Constitutional Council ensures the regularity of the presidential elections. 2. The Constitutional Council shall rule on all petitions filed by any candidates, any political party which took part in the election, or any person serving as a representative of the administration for the election requesting the total or partial cancellation of the operations. Section 133, deadline and process for petitions. Section 133(1) says, all petitions filed pursuant to the provisions of Section 132 above must reach the Constitutional Council within not more than 72 hours of the close of the poll. Sub 2 says the Constitutional Council may, if it deems it necessary, hear any applicants or requests the submission of evidence against a receipt. Sub 3 says, under pain of rejection, the petition shall specify the alleged facts and means. It shall be posted up within 24 hours of its submission and notified to the parties concerned, who shall be allowed 48 hours to submit their replies against a receipt. Finality of decisions by the Constitutional Council. Section 136 says the decisions of the Constitutional Council relating to elections, election results and candidatures shall be final. Okay? Proclamation of results. The Constitutional Council shall adopt and proclaim the results of the presidential elections within no more than 15 days of the close of the poll. So by the 27th of this month, latest, we should be having the results of the polls. Yes.
Well, you were asking for what message we have for Cameroonians. Well, Mr. Liu, I will say this, that Cameroonians have spoken and they know the words they use. They know what they have said. We are not intimidating the powers that be. we are telling the powers that be that the voices have spoken. And the powers that be should not also intimidate us. Cameroon does not belong to ministers or some particular people. Cameroon belongs to Cameroonians. And there is no more a Cameroonian than another person. So the intimidation should stop. Because there comes a time when force and reaction are equal, but opposite in direction. And if the people keep being intimidated by being Morinexed or Morinexing, then I think that Cameroonians are coming to a point where we know that power is coming to us and we have the power for the decision. Let the Constitutional Council count the vote. Let the vote of the people, elect and rather, count the vote, and let the Constitutional Council give the results as they are, not the result that they think it should be like.
Yes, we should make this very clear that, I don't know, you are talking for your party. Other militants of other parties may also be.
I don't have a party. I don't have a party, Mr. Leo. That is why
you voted for a candidate.
I voted for a candidate. After that,
you voted for a candidate.
After I voted for that candidate, any candidate that emerged as a winner becomes a Cameroonian leader, not my leader.
Okay.
It's a Cameroonian leader.
Okay. Yes, Pastor.
Oh my God, Mr. Leo, what I just want to reiterate is that, like they said, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Cameroonians have gone to the poll as to perform their civic responsibilities. They are now eagerly waiting for the outcome. Our prayer is that what they voted for should be the outcome. You should not give them what they didn't cast in the box, because that will be a very dangerous move. And if people start to disrespect or don't find them elecam worthy, again, then they are telling you that, or the Constitutional Council, they are telling you that their own court will be the court of the people. Whatever that means, I don't know. But all I pray is that if the verdict does not go in your favor, please just wait again 7 years later and try again. Don't let the situation in Nuso hit any part of the region. You will not find it funny. I am here in Douala as an IDP. It was not funny before I left from that place. So I have been to other countries who have gone through war and instability, genocide. It is not funny to live in situations like that. So let Cameroonians continue to be calm, and when God's time is God's time. When the time comes, nobody can change the hand of God. Have a blessed evening. And all to my fans, one said you should greet Mama that they are following up the colors of my problems. You can see one of the colors of my problems. Yellow.
Okay, we want to thank you all for coming, Barrister Akwen, Prof. Mark, and Sambit Kotem, and to you. Yes. Song there, thank you for coming. And to the production team, I say thank you. And to all of you for watching, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Prime on My Media Prime TV. We are going to continue to monitor the developments from the electoral process, while waiting that ELECAM does its job. They are going to move the votes from the local polling stations to the divisional commissions, which is also going to send it forward to the regional commissions, after which they are going to be moved up to the National Vote Counting Commission that will do the tallying of the results as received from all the 10 regions, after which they are going to submit it to the Constitutional Council for proclamation. It is going to be adopted at that level and then proclaimed and told to the world who is the next president of Cameroon. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.